the bombing happens.
Yeah.
If you had to take someone's lifeless body or someone who was knocked unconscious who's a dead weighted person, 100 pounds of dead weight is very heavy. Like, it's very difficult to move.
But we could move it.
But we can move it.
Yes.
And we could throw that person over our shoulders and carry them if we had to, plus possibly carry others.
That's a good point.
But that's the idea, is like, we're training, one, because we like it and it's fun, but in the worst case scenario, God forbid, we're in a crisis.
There is definite, I will say this from a personal standpoint, is as much as I advocate for a strong cross training, this is my personal belief, is I love bodybuilding, right? I grew up with it. We all grew up with Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I'll always have a love for it. As much as I'm saying I have a love for bodybuilding, people who just do bodybuilding and go to the weight who are just training so they can look a certain way and train nothing else, so they don't have a good cardiovascular system,
right.
They can't move, they're so overly developed in certain muscle groups that they can't touch their toes.
Right.
It's useless to me.
That's
right.
right.
In the same breath, I love powerlifting. I did powerlifting for years.
Yeah.
Right. Powerlifting is great because it tests you. It's all about how much weight you can lift. Awesome.
Yep.
But powerlifting is solely function is for you to lift that weight. Now, there's nothing else around that. So if you have a good bench, deadlift, and squat, awesome.
Right.
Right. But most of the people who do powerlifting, if you go look at them, there's a couple of great exceptions that are really well-rounded guys, but most of the guys are superficially fat.
Yeah.
Strongmen are kind of in a weird place, right? Because in order to be a strongman, you've got to be a big fucking dude, right?
Yeah.
And you have to carry some fat in order to do some of those. But watch those strongmen move.
Yeah.
Those guys will pick that fucking weight up.
They're pretty athletic, yeah.
Right, they're super athletic.
Yeah.
Right, now, obviously at that size, it limits. There's a limitation on movement, but they're super agile and they're super. To me, if you're going to choose something to be a well-rounded athlete, CrossFit or strongman are two great sides.
Yeah.
Right. What we're doing is when we go into the gym is I want to be strong, I want to be fast, I want to be functional, I want to be able, I want to be flexible, I want to be able to move. At any sense that you say, let's go for a sprint, I'll sprint.
I feel like we do it all.
Right, and we do all of that. I train that way, not because, in one sense, because I believe in the use it or lose it rule.
Yeah.
Use everything as much as possible, or it's going to stop fucking working.
Yeah.
Your knees were evident of that, right? Is you had these knee problems that you came up with. The minute we started carefully, strategically pushing them, all of a sudden you're doing shit you couldn't do a year ago.
I mean, I'm not back to where I want to be with my knees. I was actually just telling Sam this yesterday, but it is a process, and eventually I'll get to where I want to be.
That's it.
But I have a friend I was just talking to today that he hurt himself. He hurt his back. And I was giving him some thoughts and knowledge around training through it, and he was his way was to rest through it. Yeah. And I'm like, no, train through it. We've talked about this a lot. Like, I don't know, man. I think this is a good episode. I think we should wrap it up on some final thoughts. I feel like we covered some good ground. I really think it's a really, really good topic.
So what I want to close off with is, as we started in, if you're going to approach doing something to better yourself and you approach those, always approach it first dealing with your underlying trauma. If you have things that are affecting you, whether personal, emotional, life story, I'm not saying go to a therapist. I'm not saying you have to choose one specific route, but you need to find a mechanism, whether it might be in meditation, it might be in deep thought, it might be in prayer.
Yeah.
But you need to find a mechanism to deal with your traumas, understand those traumas, so that you can acquire those tenets that you're looking for in mind, body, and spirit. Because without dealing with that trauma, those seem and become impossible.
Yeah, I would give a final thought on that too. Like, I you know me, I've done a little bit of it all. I've done the hypnosis, I've done actual talk therapy. I still see talk therapy here and there because I like to have that outlet. But it's my words of encouragement to anybody who's like not there doing therapy. When something happens that you're like, why did I do that? Why did I act that way? What caused that? Explore it.
Yeah.
If something triggers you, explore it. Like, lean into it and understand why. If a person triggers you, lean into that person and understand why they did what they did.
Yeah.
And if after the fact they still don't like you still don't like that person or whatever it is, that's okay. But at least you explored it.
And it may help you with the next one, right?
Yeah, and just recognizing that, like, our childhood, like, my therapist actually said to me, I'm the perfect disaster. I always laugh about it, but it's like, my childhood stuff, my deployment stuff, my marital stuff, my religious stuff, like, all the
It's
stuff
everything.
blended together. He's like, you're the perfect disaster, right?
But we all
So,
are.
but we all are.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
We all
have
have something
issues.
somewhere,
We
right?
all have baggage, and so if you don't just lean into the why behind
Yeah.
it, you'll never find that peace you're looking for.
And my final thought is, you said it, and I will say it again, and I will keep saying it in every episode. If you want to make yourself a better man, take accountability
Yeah,
for everything you do.
totally.
Whether you feel it's there's no such thing as someone else's fault. Take
Yeah.
accountability. I think out of everything we'll do in this is if you can take accountability for you and only you, everything else becomes clear.